With Chelsea's FA Cup semi-final just 2 days away as of recording, the FA have announced changes to the world's oldest cup competition that will be put to action from round one of next season's cup campaign. Before we begin, please do hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell notification to be notified of any future videos, daily streams as of right now on this channel. What more could you possibly want, especially with everything heating up at this point in the season? Arsenal out of the Champions League, Man City out of the Champions League, FA Cups, you name it, it's all happening. It's all happening. The FA, on the other hand, and the Premier League have today come to a decision regarding the FA Cup that will be enforced from round one of next season's cup competition. One of the changes means that all FA Cup fixtures will take place on and only on weekends from, I think it's the round 5. So it's not all fixtures, but I think it's from round 4, 5. This is in line with an agreement with the Premier League that, as a result, means that no FA Cup fixtures will be played on the same weekend as Premier League fixtures, bringing more eyes to the cup games on the weekends that they're being played. Because, you know, sometimes, I'm imagining this is the reason, but for the smaller games, when they're on TV, you've got also sometimes maybe Man City, Arsenal, or Chelsea United, or so there's something where it just draws more eyes to that than what could be more eyes on an FA Cup game, and it always ends up being a good game anyway, doesn't it, realistically? The next rule, and arguably, which ties into it, arguably the most controversial, is the scrapping of replays. And personally, I was kind of like, yes, finally, but at the same time, we'll get into it. I can see very much both sides of the argument. The changes come as a part of a new 6-year agreement between the FA and the Premier League, with the removal of replays, whilst for us Premier League club supporting fans, it does, of course, bring some major changes to fans of lower league clubs. For many, the chance of a replay would be the chance at visiting some of the larger stadiums in the country, giving both the players and fans a day to remember. If of course, you know, the first leg is in the first game is in their ground, and then if they somehow manage to get an equaliser, or they've done well to get a replay, I can understand why it would be frustrating that you've got to go to extra time and penalties now. It's not a case of hopefully it is extra time and penalties, and not like the Carabao Cup where it just goes straight to penalties. At least give the lower league clubs some chance, instead of just going straight to penalties and then, you know, not giving them an extra bit of chance as they would if they had the replay and all that sort of thing. With this now scrapped, for many of these clubs, a home fixture seems almost a punishment. As I said, it just seems a bit more, I don't know, the excitement for them certainly taken away. They'll obviously be vying for away fixtures every single time, and if you're playing against Chelsea, you're going to get one, because we've played at home every single game, I'm fairly sure, in all competitions, apart from against either Villa or, no, it wasn't Villa. Was it Villa? I think it was either Villa or Middlesbrough, but I think Middlesbrough, it was the two-legged one anyway in the Carabao Cup, either way. However, at the same time, the opportunity of a Premier League side playing away at some of the smaller grounds means many, many, many more eyes than ever, with no league fixtures taking away from viewers as well to be added on top of that, with the removal of replays. Any extra time and penalties will also surely add to the occasion. For Premier League teams, fixture congestion is already manic as it is. For Chelsea alone, replays, I mean, haven't really been that regular. We did actually have a replay this campaign, again, Aston Villa. However, before then, our last replay was against Norwich back in the 17-18 season. I was there for the replay, with the Blues winning on penalties. Before then, it was against Manchester United back in 2013, 11 years ago. And then the same season prior to that game, I think 2 fixtures before then, we had a replay against Brentford, of which we won, obviously, otherwise we wouldn't have played Manchester United. So all in all, 4 replays, 4 separate replays in 11 years. For Chelsea, it hasn't been that hectic. It is just the idea of, oh my God, you know, Replays, at least for us, you look at any replay we've had, I think we've won pretty much all of them in the last 20 years or so. So the idea of a replay, it's almost like, okay, I guess we'll play another game and then we'll win. But for me, the idea of leaving it to a replay is frustrating because it's obvious that we, 9 times out of 10, are going to win. This is my Premier League, I don't know, top 6 bullshit brain coming out. And I understand if you are a fan of a lower league table side that you're thinking, shut up, mate. Like, what? You don't know what you're talking about. I know what I'm saying is ludicrous, but I'm saying it as the perspective of a Premier League supporting, a team, I suppose. But I totally understand the reverse. Back to the changes, and with the changes, it also comes with the Premier League announcing that the mid-season break that was only introduced a few seasons ago will be scrapped as well. Matches will start in mid-August, following a consecutive 3-week summer break instead of a shorter spell for the rest of the winter, with the decision coming from expert advice from medical and technical departments. In its current form, the FA Cup has no replays from the 5th round onwards, but the FA says that the move to eliminate them from an earlier stage, being round 1 and round 2, sort of, I guess, round 1 actually, has been made in light of changes to the calendar driven by the expanded UEFA competitions. Obviously, the inclusion of the the Conference League, going from 32 to 36. There's more teams than ever, more games than ever. It seems as though football is never, ever stopping with its evolving nature. Reactions from managers can be as expected from the lower league sides, or the lower, I guess, anyone outside the top 6 again. And representatives have also come out giving a negative outlook, understandably so. Sheffield United boss Chris Wilder said that he would like the structure of the FA Cup to remain as it was. He said, as always, the game is dictated and dominated by the big boys, and the big boys don't want FA Cup replays, do they? Wilder said, I am a traditionalist and I would like to have seen it kept the same, but the game is moving on, and more minutes are being played in the game, which people are trying to push back against. The PFA chief executive Maheta Malango said football needs a collective approach to the global fixture calendar and not a fight for available dates. And lastly, the Fair Game chief executive Niall Cooper said the decision deprives lower league clubs of a much needed source of revenue and is a short-sighted move that does nothing to strengthen the game. Personally, I see it from all perspectives. I know I've kind of come into this with, and I even tweeted that it was like the worst part of the competition has finally been given, a seat, and it's no longer a thing. I like the jeopardy, personally, and I know that's coming from a side that, Chelsea, we are probably the side that has the most FA Cup finals in the last 20 years. I think we are the club with the most FA Cup finals. Maybe not the most, we're not the most decorated FA Cup winners in the last 20 years, but still, we get to the final or the semi-final at the very least. As I've said, Chelsea have not been hard done by any means, by any stretch of the imagination with replays in the last decade. 4 replays in 11 years is not anything crazy, again, by any stretch of the imagination. And I fully agree with the argument that it takes away from the authenticity of the tournament. However, personally and selfishly, we haven't lost any of those 4 replays. So for me, it hits a point of where it seems pointless, and it's nonsensical to think that way. And I agree. But I totally see how that makes no sense at all in the grand scheme of things from other clubs' perspectives. Let me know what you think about the changes, including, of course, the removal of the winter break. Do you agree with all of the stuff I've mentioned in this video? Do you think football is changing too much? Let me know. Get your comments down in the comments down below. A preview tomorrow, again, as I said, but a preview I'm going to be releasing for our huge semi-final clash with Manchester City. So keep an eye out for that. Please do like the video, subscribe, hit the bell notification to be notified of any future content on the channel. My name is Harry, up the chips, and peace.